Hey there. So I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and I hope that the upcoming New Year, I hope it's going to treat you great. 2019. Now, 2019, that's interesting in and of itself. But if you think about that with the right thing crowd, it's going to definitely be interesting because I'm sure that we're going to see people skip right by it and say, it's almost 2020. Aren't you with us right now? You know, you're either with us or you're against us. Ideological purity testing. You see that popping up more and more, almost in everything. Whether that be in hobby, whether that be in politics and on, you see that popping up all the time. Everything seems to be inundated with it. Now, today, what I'm talking about are comic books. If you've not kept up with the comic book industry, well, it is a mess. You already have a product that has been tapering down. Less and less people are buying it. You're seeing this thing. It's becoming more and more niche, as of course movies. They make billions of dollars. The industry, it's been on the decline. It's hit the highest pricing points ever. It is absolutely insane. While that's been transpiring, you've seen the rise of unprofessionalism. Maybe that thing had always been there. Maybe you always had egos that had to be placated and had to be stroked. Otherwise, those people would come after you. But with social media, you can truly see it. Now, some companies out there, like the one we're looking at in front of us, Peter Samedi, he represents Alterna. They wanted to give you an alternative to that. What they want to do is they want to bring things like newsprint back. Now, if you've never seen a newsprint comic book before, essentially, newsprint, that's what was made back in the day. Before the glossy page, you actually had something that, of course, looked like newspapers. And, well, with that, you had a cheaper printing cost. So, Alterna Comics, they bring you comics between $1 and $2. They're trying to fight this oncoming onslaught that is basically knocking kids out of this, that are knocking consumers out by the droves. They're trying to bring you some kind of alternative. Now, within that, they've tried to bring you a few things as well. They've tried to bring you customer relations, and they've tried to make sure within that they think consumers, and God forbid that they have a social media policy. That's caused them problems too. And if you think that I'm exaggerating with that, well, buckle up, because you're going to see an example of that before we get to exactly what I want to show you here. So this was their social media policy. You can look at that, and basically what it says within it is that you have to block people individually. You cannot go out and block indiscriminately. And we want you to go out and actively promote your titles on social media. Isn't that a terrible idea? Think about it. Blockbotting, first of all. You have to block people on a one-to-one basis and not block tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands or more accounts at one time. Wow, what a terrible idea. Can you imagine being a small business in this day and age and having someone limit your consumer base like that? Can you imagine them going out and actively encouraging blocking? Because there are people out there that do that within specific companies. Marvel, for example, they allow it. They, in fact, encourage it. You have people within the upper echelons of that company saying, hey, this is not a big deal. While smaller companies out here, they say, yeah, that actually can be a big deal. Therefore, we would encourage you to do things a specific way. If you have problems, we will, to the best of our ability, stand up for you, and we'll do something about that. Now, in addition to that, of course, this terrible company, what they do is they actually thank people. If you look at the things in front of you here is Alterna Comics thanking consumers. And of course, when you think the wrong type of consumers these days, well, it attracts a specific type of attention. Now, this type of attention, it led to quite a few problems with Alterna. They were told basically, you are going to have to back down. You're going to have to relent from these two policies or else. And the or else, it was a threat to to destroy company. And these people, they went out of their way to try to destroy company. If you think that that's an exaggeration too, that these people were out trying to destroy this man's company simply because he would not relent, he would not listen to them and stop thanking consumers and not have a social media code of conduct. Yeah, he was told that he was terrorizing women of color. I mean, let that sink in. That's the world that we're in today. If you showcase professionalism, you are the bad guy. Now, this kind of stuff, it went on for a while. But finally, you see Peter Samedi, you see his company doing well. Or you think it is, until you see posts like this. So I sent out a retailer newsletter today and received back a disgusting and poorly written response from one of the shops on our mailing list. I'm beyond tired of this crap. Now, if you look at that, you can see that it's mailed to Alterna Comics and it says, "Hello. Given your company's support for racists and fascists, this store will not be stocking any of your products in the future. Please remove us from your mailing list." Now that, I mean, can you imagine these days, because of stuff like I'm talking about right now, that supposedly makes you a fascist. That makes you a racist. Why? Because you demand a decent product and you demand professionalism. I mean, that is utterly insane. And a company that showcases it, that allows anyone to go out and to buy, that doesn't want to judge the right thinker or the wrong thinker. Well, I mean, look at this. This is the way that they're treated. So he says, to continue, "I sure hope the store that sent me that awfully misguided email is making sure that they're running background checks and internet history checks before selling comic books. People wouldn't want to accidentally sell some comic books to quote-unquote racists and fascists. Unreal." And it is. That is totally unreal. I mean, you never would think that you would get to this point, especially when you think about the current state of comic books. So if you haven't heard about shops these days, shops, of course, are suffering from bad practice. I mean, imagine a product that becomes, again, more and more niche. As you have more and more trouble selling that, well, the shop, they're going to take the brunt of it. They also take the brunt of bad practice. If you look at Marvel, for example, they had well over 20 comics come out this week. Only, if you look at it, there were only 4 titles with multiple covers. They had 12 covers come out for one book, 8 covers for another, and so on. I mean, you have all of that thrown out there. And of course, the local comic shop, they take the brunt of it because they have to figure out what they think they can sell. And in this day and age, the products that you're moving, you're talking about moving about 40% of your stock. Now, also, there's no returnability. You can't return a product if that product doesn't sell. So you're basically stuck with it. Now, what that's meant in the land of the highest pricing point ever is more and more shops are going out of business. We saw 50 fall in 2017. And this year, it looks like it might have come close to doubling that. I mean, right now with the smoke clearing, it looks like there may be 80 to 100 shops that have closed down within this year. Now, you're talking about a industry that only has a little over 2,000 shops, within, say, 2016. So when you're talking about closing down over 100 of said shops, you are killing your distribution hub. And some of these shops, they're doing it to themselves as well. They're going out and they're enlisting this current day idea wherein anyone that talks about why they don't want to buy that product, they're racists, they're fascists, because somehow, in some way, you spending money on a product, that's not good enough. You are not entitled to a voice. If you are, well, of course, you can be called whatever, you can be talked down to with this expectation that you'll continue to spend money. And well, most people won't. So I wanted to show you this because I wanted to show you exactly what happens these days when a company stands up and says, hey, I want to be part of the solution, because part of the solution, that's not welcome by the terrible companies out there that want to continue the status quo, and of course by the professionals that want to do the same thing. You know, these professionals out there, they want to be able to behave however they feel like behaving. They want to be able to treat people like garbage simply because. And when they do that, of course, there are some shops that want to buy into that too. And well, I hope that they are well insulated against what's coming, because if they don't pick up something that's part of that solution, like say an Alterna comics, well then they're going to be having some hard years down the road. But anyhow, you tell me what you think about this kind of stuff. Also within that, make sure that you back an Alterna comics too. You can go and check them out online. It's very easy to find their Etsy shop. You can go and you can buy their comic books. Their comic books are pretty cheap too, so I think that they are indeed a solution here. Also, if you like this kind of content, make sure that you support this channel and other channels. Like, subscribe. There are links within the description. Also, leave comments for sure, and return for new content daily. I try to put up something every day. I try to cover all of this cultural madness out there. It's not simply comic books. It's within every hobby. It's within every corner of this. It's permeating this entire industry, and I like talking about it. Above all, thank you for showing up. I appreciate that. Make sure to leave your comments. Thank you.